Make sure you guys go give us a follow on our Twitter at @complete_MMA, where we have been posting a lot lately, and we have been discussing matters of UFC 283, UFC 284, UFC 285, and 286, all coming up this spring. So if you give us a follow, you'll be able to stay in touch and in tune with everything that we've been talking about. And you can also, while you're at it, go follow our community on Twitter, MMA Complete Accumulation, where it is the best way to get in touch with us, have a relationship with us, and be able to discuss different matters of UFC and be able to get involved with the show. Thank you, and let's get back to the broadcast. And boom, we're live.
Boom.
What's going on, everybody? Let me adjust you guys just a bit here. Episode 149. Tomorrow's podcast, Thursday night at 9 p.m. will be episode of 150.
Wow.
And we're gonna have a cake. So
No way.
So there's that.
No,
I don't know. I don't fucking know. Maybe.
Maybe a bottle of 150 rum or something.
Is that a thing? 150 rum?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if you can get it in the stores, but we can try.
All right,
We
cool.
can try to do something.
Special Amazon
We
order
just
for
won't. We
tomorrow.
just won't sit on it. Maybe we'll take one shot and then we'll just put it on the shelf.
Oh yeah, that's just
Always
gonna be a
remember.
commemorative memorabilia.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be cool. Does that mean we have to do like 2 bottles for episode 300? Do we have to get like 100 absolute for
No.
episode 200?
No, I think we should do like a 300 bottle of something. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Like this Sparta
Something.
You
Yeah.
gotta- you
that's
gotta
what I was
fucking-
thinking.
Yeah.
picture of
fucking
Russell
shield.
Crowe. Yeah.
Fucking shield, dude.
All right, so today is January 25th. We are 4 days removed from UFC 283 in a pay-per-view that I did not think was going to be as good as it was. Now, it wasn't like staggering, and if I had to rate the pay-per-view, I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, maybe a 7.8. So it's a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be in the 6s. Curious to hear what you guys had to say about it.
What? What? What do you think?
I don't know. It was interesting. A lot of heavy favorites that did not hit that.
I mean, I went
Yeah.
0 for 3 on my picks, dude. I should have full faded. 0 for 3. Glover,
So, when
Figueiredo, and RoboCop. They all lost. I mean, I think Figueiredo Moreno. What do you guys think of that fight? I think that's a good way to start it off because that was kind of interesting.
So Figueiredo Moreno was.
I mean,
weird.
he thought it was an eye poke. It wasn't an eye poke.
It
It wasn't an eye poke.
He punched
it was.
him right in the face.
It was. What do they say?
With the
crease
thumb.
of the thumb.
Yeah.
Crease of the thumb.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He had his fist closed. It wasn't like he was poking him or anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, it was just the way that the punch landed, and
Yeah.
you can always tell that a fighter has that type of reaction, like they just got hit really hard. When it's clearly a punch that gets landed, he automatically goes for an eye poke, or like some people will say like, "Oh, I got hit in the jaw," and "Oh, he hit me right in the throat." Like different shit like that they go to right away. You can tell that it really rocked him.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, Moreno was winning that fight clearly to me anyway. So the fact that it didn't even go into, I think it was stopped after the 3rd round, right?
Yeah.
It was in round 4.
So-
maybe in round 3. I don't remember.
So yeah, Brandon Moreno really beat up Figueiredo. And then after the fight, Figueiredo said he's done with flyweight. He's going up to bantamweight. I think that's more interesting than the actual fight itself, even though the fight was really good. That one scramble that they had where they had a, what do you call it? A fucking, I can't think of the trip, where you grab your foot and you sweep the legs of the guy so he falls back. And then he gets into a guillotine, and they go down to the ground, and then he gets out of the guillotine. Like, that was a super fun scramble. So I thought that was not fight of the night, but one of them.
Yeah, I think the post fight was more interesting. Well, the fight was interesting, but I think him moving up and I don't think Moreno's gonna be there for long, maybe ish. I don't know. I think your boy's gonna take it.
I think so too. I've been screaming Alexander Pantoja for a while now,
Yeah.
and I think that that's the next fight to make it flyweight.
That is the next fight.
He was the what do you call it? Like the person who would have fought if somebody were
The backup,
the backup.
was he?
I believe so. I
Nice.
think I saw him in the weigh-ins because I watched that, and I remember watching the guy who fought RoboCop. I think
Yep,
his name was
Bruno
Bruno
Ferreira.
Ferreira, and that dude looked yoked.
Yeah. So me and Austin, for some reason, picked Ferreira in the pod before the event. I don't know what came over us, but we were like, fuck it. I think RoboCop's a little overrated. Like, we're just fading it and going Ferreira. He ended up winning in the first round. Did you guys, we watched it kind of, like we were kind of just fucking around here and we had it on the background. Did you watch that fight?
So I did not. I saw the highlight of the knockout.
It wasn't a great knockout. Like, it was a jab.
His eyes lit up
Yeah.
and he just threw that combo and it just connected in the last punch.
So
Right
I
in the
guess that dude's fucking scarier than I thought. I guess he has some fucking power. Bruno Ferreira, man. It was on like 5 days notice too. Crazy. No, not 5 days notice. It was actually on like 2 weeks notice. I think I'm getting him and Sean Strickland mixed up. So 2 weeks notice, he beats RoboCop, and Bruno Ferreira all of a sudden after his UFC debut is right in the thick of things at the UFC's like 15 to 20 range in the middleweight division. Bruno Ferreira really had a good showing there. Who else had a decent little thing? Johnny Walker had a fucking easy ass knockout. Johnny Walker beat the shit out of Paul Craig.
Yeah, I thought Johnny Walker was gonna win that. I don't know. I just think Paul Craig's got kind of has a weak chin, and he relies on his jiu-jitsu too much. Is that too much to say?
No.
I think you're definitely right.
Yeah.
I think people know his weakness now.
Yeah.
I think he's easy to pick.
I think the Volkan Ozdemir fight, the one that you talk about all the time, was the one that really, like, as long as you don't go to the ground with this guy, he's not great.
Yeah.
But fuck, dude, if you go to the ground with him, you're almost guaranteed to lose. You're almost guaranteed to get submitted.
Hey, he just signed a 6-fight deal with the UFC, so he's going to be here for a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
He's only 32.
Yeah, he has a great walkout. He has the face paint on, that warrior vibe. So I think
He just needs to get a win.
Yeah, I think people like him. I think he does need to get a win. I think is Gio Mearshart middleweight? That's same. No. I think
Paul Craig's light heavy.
Light heavyweight.
It's going to be tough for him to get a win in that.
So we're going to get to that in a minute because I do want to play what's next for UFC after UFC 283, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think I had somebody that Paul Craig was going against, but we're going to do that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And so let's get right to it. The big thing for UFC 283 was Jamahal Hill becoming the new light heavyweight champion in a fight that, listen, he was the favorite. Steve picked Jamahal Hill. We picked Glover Teixeira.
Yeah.
Now, when you picked Jamahal Hill, did you think that he would win by decision?
To be honest with you, no, not really.
That was crazy.
This dude can't get knocked out when he's 43.
No.
Guy takes a beating.
I mean, he got beat up really bad. I saw the post fight and I saw him, throw his gloves in the middle of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably one of the more emotional, retirements that we've seen out of all of them.
I think that coupled with the fact that Jamahal Hill was like crying when he realized he probably just won the title and he got the title and he was saying, what the fuck now? Like that whole post-fight thing, that was very emotional. It was cool to see.
And it's not like he didn't take any damage either. Like it was an earned belt. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those fights where there was like a clear
Alex Pereira, triple champ.
So
triple champ.
One other thing I want to say is that Jamahal Hill, the big knack on him before the fight was his cardio. Like everybody was like, this guy's not going to be able to go 3 rounds because we talked about it. The Thiago Santos fight, he couldn't make it. He barely made it into the 4th round. Mm. And he stuffed a lot of Glover takedowns, like a lot of them. I can actually go to the fight to see what it was, but I want to say Glover was like 2 for 20 on takedowns.
Damn, I didn't know that.
And it was the largest significant strikes in the light heavyweight division. So Jamahal had 232 strikes. He stuffed 15 of Glover's 17 takedowns.
Jesus.
Jamahal Hill threw 419 strikes.
This is a lot of punches.
And he had the same amount of ground control time as Glover Teixeira. So not only did he beat him standing, but he was tied with him on the ground. In the fucking oof. If you look at these significant strikes by round, 46 in the first round, 51 in the second round, 44 in the third round, 79 significant strikes in the 4th round. By the way, I think I'm having this right. The total amount of significant strikes landed in the Namajunas Esparza fight was 79. So Jamahal Hill had the same amount as that fight in 1 round by himself.
Interesting.
Jamahal Hill put on a fucking masterclass. And I got to say, Glover just beat the shit out of Yuri standing for most of the fight in their last fight. And Yuri shouldn't have won that fight, but he won it at the end. And then Jamahal Hill just outclassed the guy. So what are we saying for Jamahal Hill versus Yuri? How does that fight, if it even happens, because there's a lot of things that could happen before Yuri comes back, but like, does this mean that Jamahal Hill is now better than Yuri Prochazka? Like, what are we saying?
Come on. You're stretching it a little bit.
I don't think I am.
I don't think you are
I don't
either.
think you're not, but I mean, you're a little bit. Like,
He's favorited when they fight again, no questions, I think.
Yuri's favorited.
You think when they come, like if he gets a couple more wins, you don't think he'll be
I would bet
favored?
Jamahal Hill.
So Yuri Prochazka is
Yuri
not.
Prochazka will be favorited versus
Yuri
Jamahal Hill.
Prochazka
so?
is likely
I think,
not
yeah.
to come back to the
Public
UFC
perspective.
until 2024. That's what they're saying right now. It'll either be in like November, December of 2023, or they'll just push it back to 2024. Now Jamahal Hill will defend his belt in the meantime. So with that, we're going to go to our next topic, and that is what's next for the light heavyweight division. Now, before we get into any other fights, I just want to talk about this specific belt, the light heavyweight division, because in my opinion, there is a lot of fights that you can fucking make. First, shout out Glover Teixeira, who's retired. Too tough for his own good, a UFC Hall of Famer for sure. Oldest champion in UFC history, or oldest first-time champion in UFC history. And
Too tough for my own good.
that man is fucking respect, dude. Fucking respect. Took a lot of shots. Mark Goddard could have easily stopped that fight. And he could have easily stopped another fight on the card. The Murphy versus Andrade fight. But that's neither here nor there. So for the light heavyweight division, Jamahal Hill is your new light heavyweight champion at 205. And in my opinion, you have three. You have three number one contenders. Technically, they're not all number one contenders, but you have three people that could contend for this belt. Yuri Prochazka has the claim to it. Whenever he comes back, his first fight should be for the belt. That's my opinion. Magomed Ankalaev has a very good claim to it because he is not only the number two contender, but in a lot of people's minds, he beat Jan Blachowicz, even though it was a draw. But the big thing was after that fight, Joe Rogan came in the ring and was like, what do you think about Ankalaev beating you? Because I think he beat you. Like, do you think that he beat you? And Joe Rogan kind of fucked that up. But listen, I think that Ankalaev deserves a shot more than Blachowicz too. I agree with that. And then the third one, my favorite is Alex Pereira. So
that's my favorite.
I want to run through all three of these fights, and I want to hear what you guys want the most.
Alex Pereira. I said. You want to know why?
Yeah.
Double champ. Revenge. I mean, I think we've only seen this guy has a lot of potential, and we've just seen like the key has just entered the lock. What's in it? What's in the fucking. We have a lot to explore with this guy. This guy's a lot to offer.
Yep.
Marketable. I don't think he's as marketable as Jamahal Hill. I don't think that. I think Jamahal Hill is funny.
Yeah, I would say Jamahal Hill is more marketable. Alex Pereira has his moments. He has the ability to.
I think he's learning English. I think he's trying to learn English. So I think maybe in 3 or 4 years, if he's still on top and he learns English, I think this guy could be world star. But we'll see. I think the double champ is awesome.
Yeah,
I think he will.
We've been talking about double champ.
I think he will win.
What are you saying?
Yeah, Hart says Alex Pereira. I think that he has a way better chance at getting double champ and getting that light heavyweight belt than Izzy did with Jan Blachowicz. I feel like Jan Blachowicz was very wrestle oriented, whereas Jamal's pure stand up.
Yep.
Masterclass with the stand up we just watched. So I think Pereira is just gonna beat the hell out of him. I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be totally easy for him, but I think that Jamahal Hill, as the fight went on, he did kind of lower output in the fifth round, and that's where Pereira kind of shined in the Izzy fight.
Well, he did. He definitely had lower output, but it's because most of the fifth round was on the ground.
Yeah.
That was a big part of it. Glover kind of came out the gates with a takedown and got it, and then Jamahal had a really nice sweep to get on top, and then he just coasted, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that Jamahal Hill has a better wrestling background than Izzy. So I think that if he wanted to, he could give Pereira some troubles on the ground.
Yeah.
But I think that, listen, Jamahal Hill is tough as shit. He's clearly has some cardio going for him, which is in the right direction, and I think he's going to continue with that. He is a very good striker, but in my opinion, I think that he is a slower, pudgier, with a little bit more power Adesanya, and that's not how you're going to be Pereira. I think Alex Pereira
sees that.
I think Alex Pereira would knock out Jamahal Hill in 2 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, would you want to see that if it stops Pereira from going against Adesanya again?
Yeah,
You'd rather see Pereira Hill than Pereira Adesanya too?
I just think that Pereira is more enticing as a double champ, fighting any of the fighters in either of those divisions rather than him just fighting Izzy again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know. I think that it would be ridiculous for an MMA fighter who's 7-1 to be a double champ in the UFC. You know what I mean? For your 9th professional MMA bout, you're going for champ status.
I don't think it's going to happen.
That's pretty crazy.
I think Dana's going to feed.
It might.
I think Dana's going to feed Ankalaev to Jamahal first. But
yeah, I do too. Just because I think that in the summer we're going to see Adesanya Pereira too. Like I think that fight is going to happen, and so, and then 2 months later, I think Jamahal Hill versus Ankalaev gets announced. So I think that will happen, but I'll tell you this.
I hope it happens first.
No matter what happens with Adesanya Pereira, actually I shouldn't say that. It's all going to depend on what happens in the next couple months. I think that if the UFC wants to give Pereira to Jamahal Hill, Pereira will accept it. But I don't think it's the right way to go. I want to see a champ. I want to see Pereira and Hill earn it a little bit more, is all I'm saying. And that might be the wrong choice of words here, but for God's sake, Jamahal Hill, he's on a 5-fight win streak that barely credited itself to being with the title. And then you have Alex Pereira, who's only had 4 fights in the UFC anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great take.
That's all I think.
Great take. I think what do you say?
All right.
Something with
I think Pereira continues to coast and as the champ though if he doesn't fight Izzy and he beats everybody until he continues to get that
relinquish the
that
belt.
light heavy.
I don't know, man. I'm really of the opinion that Robert Whittaker could be Alex Pereira. I really think so.
He's getting knocked out, bro.
Dude,
Mm-mm.
Pereira is mounted in like 2 minutes in that fight. That's what I think. I think Whittaker is on top of Pereira, raining down bomb after bomb in that fight.
The takedown game is where we haven't seen him exposed yet. So that's going to be interesting. There's a lot of questions. That's what I mean by the key has just entered the lock. Like, there's a lot of questions around this guy still. Yeah. I do think he can be great. I do think he could I think he could meet his match very quickly with a wrestler. Not even a guy with jiu-jitsu, just a wrestler. A strong guy. What's crazy to me is I get that he knocked out Izzy. He didn't knock him out, but he TKO'd Izzy. He beat Izzy. People, I feel like, are jumping over the fact that Izzy was winning that fight, clearly. You know what I mean? He was. And, yeah, he turned it on in the 5th round, and maybe next time he knows that he can turn it on in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, and he becomes better. I get that take. But let's not forget the fact that Izzy was piecing this dude up. Had him really rocked in the 1st round. And had him on the ground.
10 more seconds in the first round, and he would have won. Izzy would have had the belt still. So, like... Yeah, I mean, he did almost that. But when you're going with Jamahal Hill versus Pereira, that could be interesting, too, because Jamahal Hill would be one to be game to throw bombs. So this could be a fucking first round, first 3 minutes, one way or the other kind of thing.
Jamahal Hill's leg kicks, man, were impressive. impressive. Like no one's really seen him ever.
Yeah,
do
but
that.
he
And
stopped
knocked-
doing it after the second round,
Yeah, but
which
he
I thought was
knocked-
interesting.
Did he? I
Yeah.
thought he did it later in the round.
He had a
knocked
couple,
back.
but he had a bunch
He
in the first two.
dazed Glover with a couple leg kicks.
Oh, like head
A couple
kicks?
times, yeah.
Like head kicks, yeah. His
Yeah.
head kicks came out of nowhere. And he said that was an on-the-moment thing. Like, he was training it, of course, but that wasn't part of the game plan. He just saw an opening and he tried it and he got wobbled. So he was like, oh, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
So that was really impressive. Yeah, no one had,
stances
his
was
head
really
kicks really weren't ever a thing. And then, yeah, he knocked some fucking sense into Glover with those.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so I got a little game for us to play.
Wow.
This is something I think we can try out after pay-per-views. It's something I put out on Twitter for a tweet, and I'd like to get you guys' take on it. What's next? The game that we're going to play for UFC 283. This is where we take each fighter from UFC 283, and we put them in a matchup for their next fight so we can see what they want to do. So I'll start with you guys first when we talk about UFC 283. We're going to go right to the main event, and we already talked about it mostly, so I'm going to get your full prediction now. Okay? We know Glover Teixeira is going to be retired, so we're not going to book him in a fight. But Jamahal Hill, what is the next fight for Jamahal Hill? And give me a roundabout date.
Ankalaev, 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
It's a good shout. I'm going to say the whole Yuri thing's interesting. Could Yuri come back sooner, like August? They were saying maybe August he could come back. I think Jamahal Hill wants to get paid as well, so I think Alex Pereira. 5 to 7 months.
Okay. I think I would probably. It could go either fucking way, man. It really could.
Say something.
The UFC is going to follow the paper trail. The UFC is going to go for the money. I'll say Pereira. I will. And I think Izzy can fucking do whatever he wants for a year. And then maybe they'll have Pereira Adesanya in December. So I'll go with Pereira in July. That'll be my thing.
That would be freaking awesome.
Brandon Moreno, new flyweight champion, got moved up to the number 9 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC after his victory over Davison Figueiredo. I can give you guys the flyweight rankings real quick if you'd like. Who does Brandon Moreno fight next? I think we know my answer. We already talked about it a little bit, but what are you guys saying?
Pantoja. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
No
that is the
doubt
number one
Pantoja,
contender. People are talking about it on Twitter already, saying that's who he needs to fight.
By the way, Alexander Pantoja holds 2 victories over Brandon Moreno. Just saying.
He already fought Kai Moreno. So he's got to fight somebody different. Can't fight another one.
What's crazy is his next fight, if it's Pantoja, will be a trilogy fight, technically, because it'll be the 3rd time they fought.
Isn't that crazy?
Which is ridiculous. Moreno's like, can I fight someone fucking new? Like, can I just... He already fought Cara France before their first fight, or before their fight that just happened. So.
Yeah.
And this is the more interesting one. Davison...
How did he win? I'm sorry.
Pantoja?
Yeah.
I think they were both decisions, if I'm not mistaken.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting because Pantoja usually submits people.
Yeah, and Moreno's been finishing people.
His other fight must not have been in the UFC. So it was a decision in the UFC. His last decision was May of 2018. Looks like he dominated him too. Pantoja had 79 significant strikes to 45. All right. Next one is my favorite one to ponder. Davison Figueiredo. Davison Figueiredo is going to be jumping up to bantamweight. He's a former flyweight champion. He is a top 3 or 4 flyweight of all time. And he's 35 years old, and he's going up to the bantamweight division. Now, the bantamweight division is the most cluttered right now because everybody has fights against everybody. So it's a little hard to pick and choose. If you want to go ahead and say, like, the winner of this fight or the loser of that fight, that would make sense.
Left, checking right.
But what do you guys think? Do you guys have any first guesses, any inclinations of who you'd like to see Figueiredo fight, who you think he'll fight? Do you think he'll fight someone in the top 5 of the bantamweights right away?
No, I think he could. I think he might deserve it. He might.
I would say he at least deserves to fight someone in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a top 10 fight is more than reasonable.
I think top 10 right there.
Yes.
I'm going to go like he fucks up Dominic Cruz. Rob Font's a good fight.
I forgot to add Ricky Simon versus Song Yadong, so this is even more cluttered. You have 4 people in the UFC in the bantamweight top 15 that do not have fights scheduled. Sean O'Malley,
That's what I mean.
Aljo, Dominic Cruz, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Jack Shore.
Even Murad Walashvili, isn't he fighting?
He's fighting Pierre Dion.
Yeah. So there's those 2. Vera.
Sandhagen.
I think Sandhagen. That's my guess. Ranked 7, in between 5 and 10. You will be ranked top 5 if you beat him. If not,
So
you'll still be in
Sandhagen's
the
actually
top 10.
5.
Sandhagen's 5, even better.
Yeah. I think Sandhagen's
That's
a good
gatekeeper.
matchup. I would say the loser of Vera Sandhagen. That was someone that I was going to mention. My thing with Sandhagen is Sandhagen's a big bantamweight, and Figueiredo would be a small bantamweight. He'd be like a beefy bantamweight, but he's 5'6" and Sandhagen's 5'10". So that's a tough matchup for Figueiredo.
I would probably go Sandhagen.
It's a tough matchup.
I would go Sandhagen too in that matchup. I think he would fight a little bit lesser of an opponent.
Mhm.
What
do you guys think of the Sandhagen Vera matchup?
I think it's a great matchup.
I think I'm taking Sandhagen.
But I would definitely take Sandhagen. I'm not taking Figueiredo.
No, in the Sandhagen Vera matchup.
Oh,
the
and that
Vera.
Yeah, I'm taking Sandhagen as well.
Yeah, I like Sandhagen a lot. He almost beat Piotr Jan last
I
year.
like him a lot too. He's really good.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we're all going Sandhagen for Figueiredo. I like that.
Yeah.
Next one, we got Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns with a very impressive win over Neil Magny this week. Gilbert Burns fucked him up, took him to the ground, submitted him like cake.
Didn't even get
Clockwork.
punched.
So what are we saying for Gilbert Burns, who is now
Magny,
the
Not
number
very good.
5? He's still the number 5 contender. You got Bilal Muhammad at 4, Khamzat Chimaev at 3, Colby Covington at 2, Usman at 1. Usman and Edwards obviously set to face off in March. So what are we saying here?
Bilal and Burns. Let's see it.
Bilal's a good one.
Burns is the gatekeeper, man.
I think it's super interesting that you say Bilal because
Muhammad.
when we talk about Bilal, he's one of the best takedown defenses in the UFC. And Gilbert wants to get to the ground.
Also going to state, Gilbert Burns tweeted, "I will fight anybody." And then right after
Bilal
he
Muhammad.
did that, Bilal Muhammad also tweeted, "I will also fight anybody." So it's interesting you say that.
And then Tom
That
Aspinall
is going to
tweeted.
happen. That is going to happen. And who do you guys got in that fight?
I also saw Bilal throw shame about how Burns is fighting Magny, and he was like, "Oh, well, you haven't been fighting anybody, and I've been doing all this work, blah blah blah." So I think it's gonna happen, and I would still take Burns, even though I think Bilal might win that fight. I think Bilal might.
I think I'm going to take Bilal.
Oh,
I think so. It's close. It's
I
so
don't
close.
know.
But when you take out the ground game of Gilbert Burns, I'm not super impressed with his stand-up game. Like, he's a good striker and he has a lot of power for 170. But I'm not like, he got knocked down by Usman with a jab.
true.
He got outstruck on the feet by Chimaev, who is decent standing, but he's not a great boxer. He honestly has made Chimaev look very good, in my opinion.
Will Chimaev and Bilal fight? Is that a fight that could possibly happen or no?
Yeah, it's a fight that could possibly happen. I think that there was something in the air supply last week about Chimaev might be like almost permanently going to middleweight. Like, he's looking fucking huge. I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures of him, but he looks yoked right now. Like 195, 200 pounds right now. So I don't know if he really is going to make welterweight. We obviously know in his last fight that was supposed to be welterweight, he missed by 8 pounds. So like, is he going to go back to welterweight? It's tough to see. But I would still love to see, because there's so many matchups I want to see with Chimaev in fucking welterweight. If we don't see a Chimaev-Usman fight at some point, I would feel very dejected, because that is a fight I really want to fucking see.
I want to see that. We need to see that, and we will see it. It's just time. Contract.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Muhammad versus Burns. I think that's a good fight to make. Yeah. And then Neil Magny. What to do with Neil Magny? Because let's not forget, Neil Magny, his only 2 losses in his last 7 fights are now Gilbert Burns and Shavkat Rakhmonov. So those are 2 pretty good losses. And he is a big welterweight. He's a big boy. He's like 6'1" with an 80-inch reach or something. 80-inch reach at welterweight's stupid.
What is he ranked right now?
He's number 13. You got here you get. Can I throw my name out there to the hat boys? Kevin Holland. I would love to see Kevin Holland versus Neil Magny. You got 2 very tall, lanky welterweights.
That's a great shout.
And
you've been pontificating this shit.
To be honest with you,
why don't you
write
an article on that shit?
I didn't. I'm in the middle of writing one. I didn't even fucking see this. Like I think in my article I have Neil Magny versus Li Jingliang, maybe. I think it might be Li Jingliang.
That's a good one.
Ooh.
But I'm just looking down here and I see Holland's name and I'm like, oh, I would actually want to see that shit.
Maybe Masvidal?
Nah, Masvidal needs a fucking for his next fight. Masvidal needs someone to come back against. Like, I'd honestly be interested to see Burns versus Masvidal.
That's a better,
Like, it's actually not a bad shout. Or Masvidal versus Wonderboy too. That fight would also be very interesting. We're gonna get there someday. So Neil Magny, I'm gonna say Kevin Holland. Do you guys have any shouts? Anybody you want to talk about for welterweight? You got people down the list. You got.
I can possibly see Neil Magny. Oh wait, no, they already fought.
Right? I was gonna say
Vicente
Luque.
Yeah,
that would be the only other shout.
Maybe Chiesa, but I think Chiesa just takes Neil Magny to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not gonna be on a main card. He probably will be on a main card again, but
Andre Fiallo would be fun.
Yeah, we're going way down the list here, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of welterweight contenders. There's a lot of welterweights.
Kevin Holland ranked 22, huh?
No, this is after the top 15. The top 15 is the UFC's rankings, and then I just put all these guys down here. So there's absolutely no rankings to these. These are just the other fighters on the roster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rakhmonov is not ranked.
Yes.
He is 13.
11.
11.
So what this is I have UFC ranks up here, and then I have the champion, and then it goes to contenders. So you have to take this number minus by 2. So Rakhmonov's 11 right now.
Perfect.
He's fighting Neil, who is a 7, which I find very interesting. All right. So next up, we have Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. Let's start with Jessica Andrade. Before we do this, I'm going to say this. Jessica Andrade is the only fighter that is currently ranked in 2 separate weight classes. She's ranked in the women's flyweight and the women's strawweight. And she was the number 3 contender in women's strawweight, number 6 contender in women's flyweight. And she beat Lauren Murphy, who's in women's flyweight. And she got moved to the number 3 contender of flyweight to the number 6 contender in strawweight. So, like, for some reason, Dana does not want to have her top 3 in both divisions, which I find very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. I want to see Jessica Andrade versus Weili Zhang for the strawweight title. Did you see this fight? Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy?
No.
Jessica Andrade looked ridiculous.
Totally
dominated. Lauren
Wow.
Murphy, who we've always kind of said is overrated anyway. She looked like
she wins in a lot of underdog fights.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's crazy.
She looked like, what was the dude's name? What's that?
The guy from fucking
The Goonies.
The Goonies. Hey, you guys! Yeah,
she looked like him. After the fight, her face was fucked up.
That's a good tweet.
That tweet blew up. So I want to see Andrade versus Zhang for the title. I think that's super fun. And it's 2 small, beefy 115 fighters. And I think Andrade has a shot against Zhang.
Yeah. I think Man, well, the women's division has to crack, dude. It's so boring. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't know. The strawweight division's.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I get it. Women's divisions don't sell as much as men's,
Yeah.
but I think the women's strawweight division actually has a lot of good, compelling storylines and fighters right now.
Yeah.
You got Zhang, who's like a UFC golden child right now. Namajunas is still interesting. Esparza, you can still do some things. Jessica Andrade is good. Marina Rodriguez. There's a couple good people. Yan Jianan, Mackenzie Dern is fucking. And Michelle Watterson, Fernanda Chandarova, Angela Hill. There's a lot of good fighters.
Clip it.
There's a lot of good fighters.
Clip it.
And then Lauren Murphy, retirement. That's what I think.
Dude, I'm looking at below Muhammad's like last couple of fights. Vicente Luque, Stephen Thompson, Damian Maia, Leon Edwards, like no contest. I mean, the competition.
Let's not forget about what he did to Sean Brady.
Competition, though, like I'm just saying, there's a big gap between 10 and 5. I would say in that division, big old gap, and this guy hasn't faced no one in the top.
Well, he's gonna fight Burns next, so
interesting.
We'll see.
All right, next up we got Johnny Walker and Paul Craig. So let's start with Johnny Walker. Who do you guys want to see Johnny Walker fight next? This is a
Hell
tough
of a knockout. Hell of a knockout. Congrats to Johnny Walker. You know, you did say that he was supposed to. Didn't you say he was supposed to be the one to fight John Jones and stop him?
That's what it was looking like when he first jumped into the octagon, and then he just got exposed for not being good wrestling.
Oh.
And then it took him 3 years to be with wrestling and jiu-jitsu coaches, and he's like fine-tuned his skills, and he's really putting together a decent little win streak right now. Not a win streak, but he's just looked better and better in all of his fights. He got knocked out by Jamahal Hill. That set him back again, but he's looked very good in his last 2 fights. So I personally think that a fight between him and Anthony Smith would do very well because it's a good test against a wrestler and a guy that's been there forever. I think Johnny Walker beats him, man.
Yeah. I think Johnny Walker, I think his potential, I think he's getting better and better in every fight, and it's being proven. You know, his punches are being more accurate. He has great power. But I'm not thinking like Paul Craig's the prophecy either.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Craig, you know.
no, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with Paul Craig at this point. I think like Paul Craig and Dominic Reyes could have a fight because they're both kind of on the downswing. I don't know. I was trying to think of it for a little bit, and you got Khalil Roundtree, who's on a good win streak. You could put him up against him. You could put him up against a no-namer that's trying to get ranked, like Carlos Woolberg or Daum Jung. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Paul Craig because you just signed him to a deal, so you want him to win. You want him to be up there in pay-per-views because his name's there. But I don't know who the fuck he beats right now. It's tough. If Paul Craig had submitted Johnny Walker in the first round, we would be talking about him versus Jamahal Hill.
It's crazy. Huh?
And then he got knocked the fuck out in the first round, and you're like, all right, this guy's like poo-poo Kachu. So.
It does really feel like he's almost on his way out, doesn't it? Like it's like, who the hell does he fight now? Like, you almost have to put like some bait up against him,
right? Because
like it's kind of competitive all up there, and
he's number 10. Are you going to put him against a not ranked guy so you can get him a win? It's tough.
Like, does that get pay-per-views? Is that what Dana wants? I don't think so.
It could be. It could get what's it called? It could get some fight night money, and that's all you can really do for him. All right. What else do we want to talk about today, boys? UFC 284. We want to talk about UFC 285.
About
floor is open.
what did you guys think about Jake Paul grappling? Do you think that is the most pitiful grappling you have seen?
No, I don't think so. And Jake Paul has little background in wrestling.
Little, yeah, more of
Just
his brother.
But he's done it.
Yeah.
So, like, he has a little bit. I think that Jake Paul, he says he's going to compete in MMA. And if he really wants to do that, he should trade for a good 2-3 years. excuse me, he trained for a good 2 to 3 years before he actually before he gets an MMA fight. He's gonna get absolutely exposed, but he seems like he's trying to do it, trying to train. So
Shout out him.
yeah, shout out him.
I think
Nate Diaz would submit his ass so quickly.
I think you can try all you want, and exactly. I think Nate Diaz would submit his ass. I think you would also probably no. Jake Paul would knock him out. Sadly,
I don't know
Jake
if he'd
Paul would
knock him out. He might
It would
beat
be
him
a
on
war.
points.
It'd be a war, bro.
He might beat him on points. I don't know if
Yeah.
he'd knock out Nate Diaz. Has Nate Diaz ever been knocked out?
I don't know if it would be different with heavier gloves.
I think it's been like doctors stop
The
it,
gloves don't make a difference as far as getting hit. The heavier the glove is just there to protect your hand.
You can,
Like a 4-ounce glove and a 16-ounce glove has no difference in getting hit. It's just about 4-ounce glove, a UFC glove. It's easier to break your
it's
knuckles.
a heavier object.
No, it's
4 ounce, 16 ounce.
it's the weight. It is the weight, but it's more of like the matter in it. It's
Yeah.
the size of it.
Well, I'm just thinking like I'd rather get hit by like a 4 ounce rock than like a pound rock.
Yeah, but you're also putting more cushion in between your hand and the chin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. The way I've heard multiple people talk about it, and Joe Rogan talked about it a lot, it's just the difference of your knuckles. I'm guessing that's why you see boxers have the bigger gloves, because first of all, they don't have to use their fingers to grapple, but it's also because it's strictly punching and you're just, you might as well protect your hand. I find it
I don't know. There's
troubling.
some people they negotiate in their contract like this and that, especially Floyd Mayweather.
I find it troubling to think that Jake Paul would knock out Nate Diaz, because then I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I think it's more of like a fucking, in my heart, I could not see. He already knocked out Tyron Woodley, and he already almost knocked out Anderson Silva. But
Did he know he did knock out Anderson Silva?
No, it was a decision.
That was the decision.
Yeah.
Did he knock him down though?
Yes, he knocked him down in the 8th round. And I would compare Anderson Silva's striking at the moment to Nate Diaz striking at the moment. They are technically gifted and cardio-based strikers who do not have any power and do not have real boxing skills, but they would be able to they'd be able to do damage. And then you got Jake Paul, who's just a powerhouse, who's getting more technical by the minute. So
I
if Jake Paul
took knock him out.
3 years off, mind you, he's 25, right? He's our age. So if Jake Paul were to wait 3 years and just do jiu-jitsu every fucking day and Muay Thai or whatever the fuck he has to do, I feel like Jake Paul could have a future in the UFC. I feel like he could. I don't think it would be in the UFC. I think it would be in PFL, because I don't think he would ever join the UFC. But I think he could have a future in MMA. He already has the boxing background down. It seems like he's dedicated to it. It's not like money's going to be a fucking issue.
Yeah, I mean,
if he really likes it and he has like a good introduction into it, if he gets into the ring and he gets mopped up in the MMA world, I highly doubt he's gonna stick with it. He's probably gonna go and stick with the boxing, but
I think there's more money in boxing as well.
3 years down the line, like you said, if he gets into a good camp and he sticks with it every day and does the shit out of it like he's done boxing, we could see an MMA Jake Paul.
Imagine that shit. Imagine
could be a dominant champion.
Do you know how much money Jake Paul is? A middleweight. Jake Paul is a boxing middleweight who I believe could get down to welterweight, because he is 6 foot.
He's yoked.
He is yoked, but I feel like with the right nutritionist, you could get down to welterweight.
Does he really want to eat like that, though?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
He's put himself through the torture of training for boxing every day for 4 years now.
Sure.
Wouldn't be surprised if he suddenly flipped a switch and was like, all right, I'm going to dedicate my body to it. My head says no, he doesn't want to fucking do that.
It's a
why
big
the
commitment.
fuck would you want to do it?
It's a huge, hard commitment.
You're worth $20 million. Do you really want to spend 3 years not eating how you want and training every day? I would say the fuck no, but he's been doing it for 2-3 years.
He's got something to prove to himself.
Maybe he does. Maybe he would do it. I wouldn't be shocked. I think that
Wouldn't be shocked. I'd be surprised though.
I think that the matchmaking of Jake Paul against MMA fighters would be tricky, to say the best. Like, let's put all right. What if Jake Paul hopped into the UFC right now? Let's just say he's a middleweight. Who the fuck is Jake Paul fighting in the UFC's middleweight division? Would you throw him up against
Jake Paul.
would you throw him up against Joaquin Buckley? Would you throw him up against
Joaquin Buckley's a good
Andre Petrosky? Nick Maximov?
Shockmont Rachmanov, dude.
Shavkat Rakhmanov's 170.
I know.
Just have Jake Paul come in at 185. Shavkat has to be 170. Yeah. Jacob Malkoon.
I was thinking Jacob Malkoon. I think Jacob. You can take him to the ground. You take him to the ground, Zach.
That's what everybody would do. Adesanya would take Jake Paul to the ground.
He would. If he fucking
I don't know if he would. I think Adesanya would probably
head kick him.
I think he would probably beat the shit out of Jake Paul standing.
And plus, he was wearing Jake.
That would be super
Adesanya
interesting.
Would fuck him up.
That would be super interesting. Adesanya versus Jake Paul.
That's a tweet.
No,
right
an
there.
MMA fight. Who wins in that fight?
Jake Paul versus Adesanya. Even a Muay Thai fight.
Jake Paul's reach is 76 inches, which is not bad. That's actually really not bad.
Yeah, but what's Adesanya?
It's like 80.
81.
Yeah.
81, I believe.
Yeah, and he
5-inch reach
he's got
advantage.
like
You're talking about
10-inch
one of
reach
the
on
best
the legs, dude.
Adesanya
boxers of all time.
Right. Adesanya has a 4-inch reach advantage. Do you know how much that fight would sell, though? You know the fucking pay-per-view numbers between Adesanya and Jake Paul.
Jake Paul finally gets
That would
knocked out.
that would sell. That would definitely
That
sell.
would sell like crazy.
Jesus. You'd have... Dude, Jake Paul in a UFC press conference would be electric. He's bagging on every fighter. He's bagging on Dana. He's going after Dana in that press conference. And he has Logan Paul being a dumbass behind him, like fucking with his WWE belt and shit. That would be interesting. And you know what? Adesanya would mop the floor.
It would almost be like Conor going into that boxing world and calling out Floyd, right? It would be kind of similar. It would be crazy.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, who wins? Usman, Shavkat, Rachmanov?
Usman. Shavkat has a little bit to go. I think in the future, Shavkat would beat him. But as of right now, I think that Usman is... Listen, Rachmanov has a little bit of a reach advantage over Usman. Usman's striking is definitely better, and I think Usman can keep Rachmanov off him enough to keep it standing. And I think Rachmanov would just get outstruck.
Luke Rockhold is coming back. Did you see that? Not to the UFC, though. He's released. He asked to be released from his contract. He had 3 fights left. And what's that guy? Campbell? Campbell? Nathan Campbell? Or the guy that would replace Dana White if it wasn't
Hunter
John
Campbell.
Hunter Campbell. Yes, him. He
Hunter Campbell is one of the big matchmakers in the UFC.
yeah, he gave basically
He released him.
released him. He
Okay.
had like 3 fights left, 2 fights left.
Chris Dawkins was also released from his UFC contract today. Or not released, but he just finished off his contract.
Who wins?
Luke Rockhold.
Who wins at 170? McGregor or Chandler?
What do you guys say?
I'm gonna go McGregor.
I'm gonna go Chandler, man. I just think the way the UFC's going right now, and Michael Chandler just being a beast, all yoked up at 170, a little mini Hulk.
Yeah, he would toss him, but I think there's definitely a reach advantage going on, and I think leg kicks would play a huge factor versus who's gonna land him
Connor's
harder.
never been a huge leg kick guy. That's
I
another
know,
thing.
and Chandler will. So I think that also plays a big. I'm also speaking what's going to happen against them. Because Chandler could win. I think I wouldn't bet on the fight, but I'm gonna
I
pick
think
McGregor.
about this. I think about the fact that you just said Chandler at 170 would be yoked, and yeah, you're right, he would. But so would McGregor. Let's really think about this, because McGregor would
wouldn't
weigh
sleep
in
him.
Too many
at
helps.
170.
I love it.
McGregor would walk into that octagon to fight at like 185. He'd get all his weight back, maybe more, maybe 190. Johnny Walker fought at UFC 283 at 238 pounds, by the way. Weighed in at 205, weighed 238 during the fight. Claims him, that's a big fucking jump. I just wanted to say that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Conor at 170 would walk into the octagon at like 185, and that is crazy. We saw Conor fight at 145 at one point. Now he's going to be walking in at 190. Like, holy shit. Conor
think he would
versus
win.
Mike Chandler.
I think he'd win.
Chandler obviously has a wrestling advantage.
Yeah.
Conor's takedown defense is pretty good. It's pretty good. Conor has a striking advantage. Conor has an IQ advantage. Conor has a distance advantage. I think Conor is not as great as he used to be. I think he's taken some steps back.
Absolutely.
Chandler is more active.
Active.
Chandler also is going to go for the entertainment value. He's going to go for a crazy fight that people see and not really like
You knock him out.
technically how do I beat him and how do I go about this to make him switch stances and how do all that shit. He's going to be like, I want to throw some overhands and I want to get some crazy takedowns. And I also feel like Chandler might have more cardio.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know what? I'm not even going to
Close.
talk cardio. I think it is very
It's
close.
close. Too close to talk about.
This is going to be a 5-round fight when
Yes.
this happens. In my UFC 2023 predictions, which you guys can check out on our Twitter at @complete_MMA, where I predicted the main card for for every single event of the year, all the way through UFC 297 in December. Which, if you guys want to check out, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but that's what it is right there. And I have this as the main event of UFC 288 in May 6th. I think McGregor wins. I think McGregor wins.
That was a long. I liked it.
That was a long build-up. I'm sorry for taking it.
That was a
I'm sorry for
breakdown.
taking it. I think McGregor wins. And I think it is just because Chandler gasses out in the third or fourth round because he's been going for crazy shit. And McGregor he just keeps piecing it up. He probably has 2 or 3 knockdowns in the rounds 4 and 5. Maybe finishes him. Maybe. You know what? Yeah. I'm going to say he knocks out Mike Chandler. TKO's Mike Chandler in the 4th round.
Okay.
In a 5-round fight? Fair enough.
5-round fight. Well, main event. It has to be a main event. Or the co-main to a John Jones fight. I think Conor McGregor would co-main a John Jones fight. I think there's
What do you think of that card? Can you guys see that? Yeah, you guys can see that from there, right?
Yeah, I
could
think he
definitely
main events.
see
I do
dude.
not think he. That is a banger of a main event.
That's a banger of a pay-per-view, right?
That's a banger.
Yeah.
That's a banger.
Pay-per-view.
It's a banger.
Let me
You should
just-
color.
let me
You
just-
should color code that
let me just
a little
throw this
better
on
because
real
that
quick.
shit is fire, bro. It's fire.
UFC 288 in Abu Dhabi. You got McGregor coming in on the fucking Lamborghini yacht.
Jesus Christ. Dolphins.
Right.
Pot of dolphins. that he
Colby
bought.
Covington versus Bilal. Wow, that would be insane.
Robert Whitaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. That is a
Saw
fight
that too.
I need.
I want to talk about one more thing, which you guys probably will. Terrence McKinney. The Bomb Theme twins. What the fuck happened? What the hell happened? What the hell?
Hype
that
train.
was the best knockout of the night.
Derail.
Dude, that might be one of the knockouts of the year.
That was awesome.
Pull that
Watching
up.
it.
Oh,
Just fucking
yeah. Put that on
slapped him.
Twitter.
I didn't want to forget to talk about that.
on the pod.
Insane.
This is when he knocked out Favala in the first 7 seconds. And then he jumped off the cage. Tore his ACL. Look at that.
Yeah.
Right there.
That was crazy.
How many nights can you
It's
be
in the
off,
bookmarks,
man?
Zach. It's in
How
the
many nights
bookmarks.
can you be off?
Huh?
I said, how many nights can you be off? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, you had a couple of really good knockouts, but how much are you really doing right now?
Look at that
This,
shit.
McKinney was getting fucked up all
He
fight
looks
too.
scared.
Yeah. Oh God.
Good night. Good night.
Dude, get him a pillow. Look at the ref doing this. Yeah, no shit.
They were taking shots after too, but I feel like that's like the thing to do. Like,
Dude, the ref did not need to do it. Like, yeah.
he's done.
Yeah.
He's done. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
out.
He almost died. Yeah.
What to do with Terrence McKinney? Because I got to tell you, before this, if McKinney won this fight, it was probably going to be McKinney versus Pimblett. And that shit would have sold. That shit would have sold like a motherfucker.
Bonfim versus Kim.
I mean, they could still fight, dude. I mean, Terrence. McKinney was
No,
fine.
why not?
One, because Patty doesn't want to get knocked the fuck out like that. Two,
Yeah.
And two, because Patty wants a big name. I think Patty Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson is the next Patty fight. That's what I think.
It's a banger, dude.
That's a fucking banger.
That's a.
And I
good
think
tweet.
I think it main events a fight night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bookmark that tweet in your head. Patty
Okay.
Pimblett versus Tony
I
Ferguson.
think Patty still wins, but that would be
Yeah,
great.
I think Patty wins
It's so
too.
close.
That's what makes it edgy.
It's so close.
That's what makes it edgy. Tony Ferguson, you're gonna get these Tony Ferguson army defending Tony, and then you're gonna have
So
this Patty
true.
Pimblett army defending Patty.
You're gonna have Dave Portnoy in the fucking wig.
Oh my god. And Big Cat.
And Big
Okay.
Cat, yeah. Oh Jesus. Terrence McKinney though, fucking R.I.P. man. That's tough. That's
tough.
real tough.
Yeah.
Took that shit like a champ though.
Kyle Dawkins removed, but I think you said that.
Yeah.
I think there was another guy removed. Mauricio.
Shogun Hua.
Yeah, he was
he
removed.
retired.
Oh, he retired.
Yeah, that's Shogun.
Yeah, he's out. And yeah, I think that's about it.
So I was close on the UFC 287 main event where this is the other thing. This is the last thing we're going to talk about. In the works for the UFC, broken by MMAfighting.com on Twitter. Go check out the Twitter at @complete_MMA. On Twitter, UFC 287 has been tweeting that it's in the works. Contracts have not been sent out yet, but the UFC is trying to book Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo for the bantamweight title at UFC 287 in Brooklyn on April 8th.
It's crazy.
What that means to me is that Aljo, I guess, doesn't need fucking surgery anymore. Because remember, like a month ago, Aljo said that he was going to be out for a long time with torn bicep surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's not a fucking thing anymore. I don't fucking know. Henry Cejudo versus Aljamain Sterling.
That's what I'm involved looked like after the fight.
No, that was Brian Battle got some working with Sean Strickland.
Yeah. Sean Strickland beat up Nasruddin Imavov so bad he turned black.
I couldn't see him because of the shade of the.
All right, that's gonna do it for us because
Brandon
we got
Moreno
another.
said he wants to fight in June.
We got another
Ooh.
fight coming up, or we got another what's it called? Pod coming up tomorrow. So we got to save some stuff for that. We got to go over some stuff. If you guys are down, I have some trivia questions for you for tomorrow. Episode 150 with some UFC trivia. That could be fun. Or we can just kind of shoot the shit. Doesn't matter to me at all. You guys think about it. You let me know. Tomorrow's a new day. Episode 150 tomorrow. Make sure you guys all tune in and make sure you guys go check out our Twitter at @complete_MMA. Go check out our Facebook, MMA Complete Podcast. Go check out our Twitch, Complete Sports. And yeah, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody loved UFC 283. I did. Kind of. It was all right. 7.5 out of 10. 7.8.
Yeah, what was our record? You can go over that.
Oh, yeah. Me and Austin tied for 10 out of 17. And Steve had 9 out of 17.
Fuck you, Steve.
So we all did pretty good. There is no card this weekend.
Over 50% is great. So if you get over 50%, you're doing a great job.
So let me throw this up there. 9 of 17. Oh, no. 9 of 17.
Who did you guys pick that I didn't have? What was the deciding factor?
There was a couple fights. So we both had.
Oh, you guys had Marcos.
We had Johnny Walker.
And you guys had Walker. I had Craig.
Yep.
That's what it was. That was really the one.
Yep. And we had Marcos. And then you had Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So this brings our. Do you guys want to combine these totals of the fight night as well, or do you want to do it just pay-per-view and just fight nights, or do you want to do a complete total?
Well, we'll just keep it all separate, and then at the end of the year we'll combine them, and then we'll break it down like a pyramid.
Okay. Do you guys want to know it now, or do you guys don't? You don't want to know?
Nah, it's only 2 wins.
Okay. So that's going to do it for us. We're going to be back here tomorrow. Make sure you guys come check us out again on our Twitter, wherever you're watching your podcast from. Make sure you check out Fans Only Sports as well, and there are many social media sites. And that's going to do it for us. We're going to be back here tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Go check out the Twitter. Go check out the community, MMA Complete Accumulation, where you can get in touch with us fastest way possible and join in on conversation through the show. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow later. Want to say bye?
Later.